After blowing a save on opening day in 2012, Mariano Rivera recorded 8 straight scoreless innings and 5 saves. But then, he tore his ACL when shagging fly balls in Kansas City, and many feared that the best closer of all time would have his career end unceremoniously. He quelled those worries with an adamant quote, "Write it down in big letters, I'm not going down like this." He went through surgery, and the 43-year-old Mo returned for one last go in 2013, his 19th season. Rivera had 10 saves and 10 opportunities in April, and that was his highest total for the opening month of the season. He entered the midseason break with 30 saves and 32 opportunities and a 1.83 ERA, and he was named an All-Star for the 13th time in his career, the second most nods in MLB history. Rivera retired all 3 batters he faced, preserving his 0.00 ERA in All-Star games in his career. He was named the All-Star Game MVP, and he became the first MLB player to be named the MVP of a World Series, League Championship, and All-Star Game. He finished his final season with a 2.11 ERA, a 1.05 whip, and 44 saves and 51 opportunities, earning him the American League Comeback Player of the Year award, among several other honors. But throughout his final year, he spent time during visits to each ballpark meeting privately with fans and unrecognized team employees to hear their stories and thank them for supporting baseball. This, I believe, is the most reflective of Mo's character, as his performance was reflective of his talent, and there hasn't been a reliever in the big leagues since that has matched him in both regards. One of the best retirement tours ever. Speaking of Yankees retiring in 2013, we have Andy Pettitte. Some might forget this, but Andy Pettitte retired twice, with the first coming in 2011. He committed to that decision, missing the entire 2011 season before returning to the Yankees as a guest instructor in 2012. But being around the game gave him the itch, and he returned to the game in 2012. He'd missed time with injury that year but make it back for the postseason, but 2013 would be his final season. He'd earned his 250th career win in June of that year, and he also passed Whitey Ford for the Yankees' all-time strikeout lead, and would pass the 2,000 strikeout threshold in September. His final start came fittingly against the Astros, the only other team he'd ever played for in his career from 2004 to 2006. He threw a complete game and was honored by both sides afterward. In February of 2015, the Yankees announced that they would be retiring Pettitte's number 46 in August of that year. He's currently on the Hall of Fame ballot, and though his teammate Mo was a first ballot inductee, he's still trying to improve from the 13.7% of votes he received this year in 2021. But I have no doubts that Pettitte will likely end up in the Hall of Fame at some point.
And his final season speaks to this, as he outpitched his single-season averages in ERA, whip, fielding independent pitching, and walk percentage.
As a 41-year-old.
That isn't normal. That's greatness.
A retirement season that's definitely less recognized came from Ray Durham. He had some awesome seasons as a Chicago White Sox and was also part of the incredible 2002 Oakland A's team. He re-signed with the San Francisco Giants for a 2-year contract in 2006, but he struggled immensely in 2007, calling the season embarrassing and the worst of his career. His defense suffered and his hitting was nowhere near up to par with his career averages, with pitchers having a new strategy of throwing the cutters inside at him and throwing curveballs on the outside corner. He batted .218 with a 64 OPS plus in 2007, but bounced back in a major way in 2008. In 87 games with the Giants that year, his OPS plus jumped to 109 and his slugging soared over 400. This earned him a ticket out of the city to Milwaukee at the deadline, aiding the Brewers and eventually helping them secure the wild card that year. Durham focused less on home run power and more on hitting to all fields in his final season. So despite his home run total dropping from 11 to 6 between seasons, he mashed 35 doubles, the most he had had in a season since 2001. He retired at the age of 36 after his first postseason run since 2003, where the Brewers lost in the NLDS to the eventual champion Philadelphia Phillies. Durham outlasted his single season averages in OPS plus, batting average, and on-base percentage, completely revamping his hitting approach as a 36-year-old. And sticking it out this last season was worth it, because he was able to cross the 2,000 hit plateau in his final season. After spending a season in Miami, Mark Buehrle was involved in one of the Marlins' many teardowns and was traded to Toronto, where he spent his final 3 seasons. In his first start of his final season in 2015, Mark Buehrle secured his 200th win and never looked back. By season's end, his last start left him 2 innings short of continuing his streak of 14 seasons with 200 or more innings pitched. This was the case despite Buehrle twirling 4 complete games on the year, his first season with multiple complete games since 2010, despite being 36 years old. He went down with injury right before the postseason and missed the Blue Jays' run to the ALCS, and his arm likely could have pushed Toronto to the World Series had he been there. Buehrle was able to put in an extremely solid season despite having the fewest strikeouts per 9 innings in the major leagues at 4.12, and also leading major league starters and highest contact percentage at 89.1%. Still, his ERA was completely matched matched to his single-season career average, and his whip was better than that mark. He didn't walk any batters at a 4.0 walk percentage, and his ERA plus stayed above 100. In fact, Buehrle only had one season with an ERA plus below 100 in his final 7 seasons. Mark Buehrle was a consistent workhorse throughout his entire career, epitomized by his final season, where his final season ERA matched his single-season average, and he bested his whip and walk percentage. En route to a 15-win season, his highest total since 2008 when he was 29. Buehrle was 36 in his final season.
I sometimes forget Billy Wagner's time as a Met, even though he was the closer for my favorite team when I first started regularly watching baseball. I had always found him very interesting, especially because Wagner was originally a right-handed thrower until he broke his right arm and trained himself to throw lefty. On the topic of injury, the Mets announced at the end of the 2008 season that Wagner tore his UCL and would need Tommy John surgery. Normally, for a 36-year-old reliever, this would spell the end of a career, but Billy Wagner is no normal reliever. Wagner would make it back to pitch 17 games in 2009, but his final season came the year after with Atlanta. You can't say a retirement season would result in an all-star nod for many pitchers, but that was the case for Wagner as the closer for the Braves. Even with major surgery and a decline in velocity, Billy Wagner was still dominant for the playoff-bound Braves in 2010, with his 104 strikeouts over 69 1/3 innings being the most he had had in a season since 2003. Wagner was locked down for the Braves that year, and he finally retired as a 38-year-old to spend more time around his family, and definitely went out on top. He beat his single-season career averages in ERA plus, ERA, whip, saves, walk percentage, and strikeout percentage. Some by slim margins, some by healthy margins. The fact is, the only other closer that I could think of that dominated in an age 38 season was Mariano Rivera, and that puts Billy Wagner in pretty elite company. Kirby Puckett is one of the greatest Minnesota Twins of all time, being a part of both of their World Series titles in 1987 and 1991. He also won 6 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, and was in the MVP conversation basically every year he was active. Calling 1995 Puckett's retirement season is a little misleading. The 35-year-old outfielder definitely had gas left in the tank, posting a 130 OPS plus and slugging over 500 while making his 10th consecutive All-Star team. He was actually in spring training in 1996, batting .344 leading up to the regular season. This is when he awoke one day without vision in his right eye and was diagnosed with glaucoma. This abruptly ended his career and forced him into retirement. The Twins made him an executive vice president in lieu of this retirement, and he would also receive the 1996 Roberto Clemente Award for community service. The Twins retired his number 34 in 1997, and in 2001 Hall of Fame balloting, he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. The aftermath of Puckett's career is not a happy tale at all for those who are familiar with it, with themes of domestic abuse, divorce, and a premature death at the age of 45. But none of that changes the player he was before his untimely demise, and his last season was definitely a good one to go out on, surpassing his career single-season averages in OPS plus, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and walk percentage, and still managing to bat over 300 as a 36-year-old. There's a serious case that Puckett had plenty of gas left in the tank and probably could have played until he was 40. It's just really unfortunate. But instead of harping on the negativity of what happened, let's appreciate what we were given. A fantastic retirement season from Kirby Puckett.
And that'll do it for today's 6 players on MLB's best retirement tours. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If I missed any of your favorites, make sure you leave a comment down below, and who knows, maybe there'll be a part 3. But that'll do it for me today. I'm the Jolly Olive, and I'll see you guys next time.